This is Here's to Good Health. My name is Linda Prezioso. I'm a nurse practitioner at Family Medical Center here in town. And tonight I'm so excited I found me a nurse practitioner to be a friend with. It's so exciting. And she is right down the road here. She's got a clinic. She's going to tell us about that. It's the clinic on the corner, which I think is really cute. If you know anything about, you all know that, I guess you all know I'm housed at Wesleyan College, and she's down there by the Food Lions. So we've connected, and we're going to be talking to Elizabeth tonight about all of that. I don't really have any news or any business that we've got to take care of tonight, so we're going to jump right into talking to Elizabeth Burnett. Hey, Elizabeth,
Hello.
welcome.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for inviting me to be here.
Yes, it's awesome. So, how long have you been a nurse? Because I know you haven't been a nurse practitioner the whole time.
No, I've been a nurse over 30 years.
Yeah.
I remember hearing someone else say that years ago, and I thought, wow.
Yeah.
And now here I am saying
know,
it.
I know, right.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
Right.
And Elizabeth, we were talking, Elizabeth is like me. We started at the bottom of the ladder. We were both nurse nurse assistants. And then I went from nurse aide 1 to nurse aide 2 to LPN to RN to BSN to MSN. And I think you probably did the same thing.
I did, and we went to the same college.
I know.
We went
And
to Nash Community
yeah,
College.
Yeah, so go Nash there. And another nurse practitioner that is also an entrepreneur who lives here in town. She is their speaker for their commencement this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she has IV hydration. She does an IV
That's
clinic.
awesome. I remember going through nursing school, and I thought it was one of the hardest things
Yes.
that I could ever do.
Yes.
But there's never a day that I regret doing it.
No. Sometimes in the middle of a shift, I might regret it. So.
Yeah.
But no, I'm passionate about good health. I've been passionate all of my days, and I'm really excited to be a nurse practitioner at this time.
I feel blessed.
So you're from here originally?
I am from Attleboro, North Carolina.
Oh, right down the road.
Right down the street. It really am. And graduated from Northern Nash.
Okay, my kids all graduated.
And went to Nash Community College, and then when I graduated, I felt like the world was at my feet, and it was, and I just kept going. It's been a journey.
So you said you worked at Nash, well, it's UNC Nash.
Nash, right. Back when it was Nash General, I worked in the pediatrics department. And for several years, I was a night shift nurse, and then I went and did home health, and then I did ICU in Roanoke Rapids. Then I went out to be a travel nurse in Montana, and I pretty much stayed for the best part of 20 years.
Oh, wow. So you liked Montana?
I loved it. At the time I went there, I worked at a very large hospital. It was called Deaconess. They have since changed their name to Billings Clinic, and they do open heart and brain surgery, things like that, neurology type things. And so I hired on as an ICU nurse there, got a lot of experience there, and ended up as a flight nurse for their team.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and at that hospital, we didn't ride in helicopters because the distances were too far. So we had a turbojet engines planes, and so we would travel up to the Canada border, down into Arizona and Denver, Colorado. We went a long ways.
Wow. Well, that was really exciting.
It was.
It's fun.
It was nice to be one-on-one with a
Yeah.
patient.
Yeah, that's
Really
the nice
was.
thing about that.
It was.
Oh, we've got a call. Hang on. Sorry about that. Hang on. I'm answering. I can never remember how to do it. Hey, this is Linda and Elizabeth. How are you this evening?
I'm fine, but we can't hear you.
You can't. Okay. Lee, did you hear that?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
calling. Well, I hope you can hear me now, Miss Rackley. I saw your name was Elizabeth Rackley, so I hope you can hear now. I don't know what, Lee does all that. I just sit here and talk. That's my real gift is talking.
I can understand
I
that.
call myself a nurse practitioner, but I talk a lot. So you were in Billings for about 20 years.
Yes. Well, actually, I was all over the state. I worked to the west of the state, and then when I went back to college to be a nurse practitioner, I worked on the Crow Northern Cheyenne Indian Reservation, and did that for several years.
Interesting, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I would have loved to do that.
It was awesome.
Yeah. See, you didn't have kids, so you could go and do.
I had one son.
Oh, you have one. That's right. You don't even hardly get your feet wet in 13 weeks of nursing. So that's yeah. So where did you got your ADN from Nash Community College? Where
Right.
did you get your bachelor's
Well,
degree?
actually, I went to a program out of Kentucky called Frontier Nursing. It was actually the first midwifery school in America.
Ah.
And a lady by the name of Mary Breckenridge had developed a midwifery school there back in the 30s. And they had a program at that time that I went that you could go from AD into MSN. And so I did all the bachelor work, but I didn't get my bachelor's. So,
Okay,
so I couldn't
yeah.
get my bachelor's and quit.
Yeah,
I had to
yeah,
keep going,
yeah,
which
yeah.
turned out nice.
Yeah, Chapel Hill had that when I got my bachelor's degree. They had the same thing. You know, I could have bypassed the bachelor and went right to the master's, and they didn't even offer it to me, and they persuaded me not to. What if you don't make it through? Then you have nothing.
Well, that was the point. You were going to make it or not.
Well, they didn't know me. And when I
That was
set my
sweet.
mind to something and I focus on my goal, I am like this. I've got
Right.
blinders on and I just look right
Yeah, I
at
do.
the,
Yeah,
and
I do that.
that's just who I am.
Right.
Not everybody's that way, I suppose, but
Well, I'm the same way, and it did me well.
yeah, yeah. So how long have you been a nurse practitioner?
I've been a nurse practitioner since 2014. Like I said, my first experiences as a nurse practitioner was in the ER in a small hospital right outside the Indian reservation, and there's a large Native American population there in that town too, and it was a joy.
Yeah.
And the Crow people, you know, they have their reservation and they have their own customs and cultures that they like to keep so that they don't lose their way. And there's one thing that I learned about the people very quickly is that if they wanted to sit and talk to you and tell you their story of how they got sick or whatever had happened to them, that they were complimenting you.
Oh, really?
And that was a great compliment.
Oh.
And I remember the stories and will carry them with me.
Yeah.
It was great.
That is sweet.
Very.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed in the past maybe year or 2 years that it used to be that nursing was really held in high esteem, and I think for the most part it still is.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that some patients are a little bit more aggressive now with their negative feelings.
That's true. That's true. And you know, I have to tell you that it does change in the areas where you work at. Some of the more rural areas who have less access to medical care seem to be more appreciative. But everybody in a sick state can get angry, and their family can
That's
get
right.
angry.
That's right.
So, and having been a nurse whose father was very sick in the hospital for quite a while, I know how it feels.
So we just have to love them through it.
Yes. And like I tell my people, I said, when you have to realize when you've got one sick person in the bed, I said, what you've really got is a whole family in that room, whether they're present or not.
That's right, because the sister's going to call her brother and say, look, this is what the doctor said, and then the brother's going to say, well, wait a minute now. Yeah, I've done all that too.
started the business in October, and so the business is building. And our plans are, you know, if the business proceeds as we hope it does, that eventually I'll have another nurse practitioner on board, and that we could be open on weekends, especially on Saturday, because there's not a lot of medical care available except ER on Saturdays.
And some of the urgent cares are open and some aren't.
Right, right. We've, you know, there's been trouble in some urgent cares with staffing and getting people there. And so our patients have been very thankful that we're open. It's been a blessing.
Yeah. Well, and then you're right here at the college, so
I am.
there's always a strep throat and a stubbed toe and fell off my bike.
There is, and there, you know, we went through a COVID stage, and just in this little amount of time, we've gone through a COVID stage and a stage, and we've been going through strep throat recently.
Yes.
So
Yes, and there's another gastroenteritis.
Gastroenteritis,
going on,
yes.
so,
some of my
do
staff
we need
had
to-
that.
Do we need to use these? Oh, all right. Lee's taking care of us, so I hope you all can hear now. If anybody's still having trouble, let us know, and Lee will work on it, because I won't, because I don't know what the heck to do, but he does.
That's a good thing.
So, is it you and a nurse, or you and a receptionist,
I-
or how does that work
Well,
over
what
there?
I have, my business manager is also an RN,
Oh, okay.
and she has a degree in billing also.
Oh, nice.
And so a lot of times she's at the front desk and doing her billing,
Mhm.
and I have an LPN that works with me and a med tech, and so they kind of rotate through
Mhm.
depending on how busy we are.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
it's
that's
nice.
great to have that much staff. You're very brave, because I've been doing this bioidentical hormone. It's just me and one clerical person.
Well, when you do an urgent care and you never know what's going to come through
Right,
the door,
yeah.
it feels a lot better to have somebody else with you.
Yes, that's
It really
right.
does.
I can control my environment.
Right.
You can't.
Mine's not.
No. No, that's the ER coming out of
That
you.
is the
Yeah,
ER lady
yeah,
kind of coming
yeah,
out of me.
Yeah. I don't like suturing, and I don't like, there's a lot, and I'm an adult nurse practitioner. I can't treat anybody under 13, so I can't work in that field.
Well, as a family nurse practitioner, I was working on the reservation. I was able to do infant care because they didn't have anybody, and infant care and sutures and cysts and boils, and I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
I love a procedure, and I love the kids. The fact that I can see kids makes my day.
Yeah, I like kids. I don't like their parents sometimes. But you worked in peds, so you
did.
got a good training right from the start.
I did, and I trained with some wonderful people, and one of them's name was Ann Chappell. She's since retired.
Oh yeah,
but
I know
Ann Chappell to this very day. She was quite regimented.
Yes.
But she taught me so much about nursing, and I'm forever grateful.
Yeah. I tell you, when I started, there was they were old ICU nurses that wanted to get out of ICU, and I worked on PCU at the time, up on the third floor, right next to peds.
Right?
And it was the same thing, and they taught me so much, because you don't learn much in nursing school. You learn the basics, just the bare bones, and then
Right.
I remember one night I worked a lot of 3D11s. They had those shifts in those days. And I was walking up and down the halls, I don't know, maybe going up front to chart or something, I don't know. But I remember walking down that hall saying, what the heck did I learn in nursing school? Because I felt like I learned everything on that floor,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So, and I'm very grateful to the nurses that, just like you are to Ann Chappell, I've got Young He and Susie Williamson, and
You never
remember them?
forget. Yes,
No,
you
do
never
not
forget.
And I don't know if they're even still alive anymore, but they were great, and they really helped me a lot.
I understand.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I'll never forget them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was lucky. I felt like even I was a young woman, and a young mother, and I went back to school in my late 20s. But I really felt like I grew up in that era. There's nothing like being a mother that makes you grow up. But when you become a mother and then a nurse, and you grow in that area,
Yeah.
it changes your
Yeah,
world.
Yeah. So where does your son live?
My son is currently in Massachusetts. He has, he was out in California for several years. Like his mother, he has that wanderlust. So he has, he knows North Carolina life, he knows LA life, and some of Montana life, and now he's checking out the New England way of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good for him.
He's a musician, and
Okay.
so
he's got your creativity.
he does. He
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
And my eyes.
And your eyes.
Yeah.
I don't have a creative bone in my body. I can copy anything. That's my claim to fame. I see something cute and then I make it. I make little Christmas gifts every year for everybody where I work. And,
Well, I tell people I just follow directions well,
there
and
you
I
go.
do.
Yeah. So you now you moved back here and your mom is still with us.
My mom is 90.
Oh wow.
And she is of sound mind and mostly body. You know, our bodies like to wear out on us.
Yes, they do.
But it is just a wonderful thing to be near her. In fact, I just left her house. The clinic is only 5 minutes away from her house,
Oh, that's nice.
and I can run up there and check on her, and it's really nice. And so in between work, when I got off today, and I went to my mom's and hung out with her for a while, and
So you
just
could come
ran back
over
over.
here. Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, it's time for our first break, but he's busy taking care of our voices, so we'll keep on keeping on. So you're a horse lover.
I am. My mom says my first word was not mama or dad; it was pony.
Pony.
So, I've always loved horses, and when I went out to Montana, I just seemed to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's horses everywhere,
Yeah.
and I bought horses and raised horses, and just pushed cows and worked on ranches. It was fun.
I live in a farm, so we have goats and chickens.
I got a little place now, a
Yeah.
little 7-acre place now.
Yeah.
So
That's good. That's good. That's enough. It's a lot of work living out there on the land.
it really
tell you
is.
that.
And in Montana, the land, it was like you spent your whole summer getting ready for winter.
Mm-hmm.
And you made sure you had a huge stack of hay, at the end of the summer. But it was very good lessons.
My summer is spent canning, so
I do
because
that.
I love to garden, and then I can my own vegetables, and not too much fruit, but I do can.
I have pear trees that I planted after my father passed away, and they are very prolific. So,
Oh, good. I know where to come.
Yes, and they're great pears. So I canned my pears. I canned beans this year for the first time. And I like to do that.
Yeah, I did a lot of tomatoes. All right, it's time for our first break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about being a nurse practitioner, being an entrepreneur, because both of us are entrepreneurs. This is her retirement business. I've got another retirement business, my MediSpa. So we're keeping on. I don't suppose I'll ever. I don't know. I have
I'll
no
never
intention of quitting.
I'll never slow down. Never.
Not until my life tells me I have to, maybe. But
Right.
anyway. So we'll take our first break and then we'll be back. So just hang on, watch the commercials, and come right back. We'll see you in a minute.
When faced with special care needs for elderly or disabled loved ones, families want compassionate, comforting care. That's Tender Touch Home Care Services' goal, providing the level of care we would expect for our own. With over 10 years of home care excellence, Tender Touch provides an array of services that keeps your loved one at home. From personal care, light housekeeping, errands, and meal preparation, to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
Hi, I'm Richard Koss, pharmacist and owner of Almonds Drug Store here in Rocky Mount. Here today with my wife and 2 daughters. For over 75 years, Almonds Drug Store has been the pharmacy of choice for residents of Edgecombe and Nash County. Our family is proud to call Rocky Mount home, and we are excited about the new services and products we are adding daily at both of our Almonds Drug Store's locations and also at our medical supply store.
Come in and see us at Almonds Medical Supply. We're an extension of Almonds Drug Stores, your local hometown pharmacy. We're here to service all your needs, from wheelchairs to walkers to orthopedic supports to compression hose to hard-to-find wound care supplies. And you'll always get that hometown customer service.
We want our patients to pay the best prices, get the best service available, and have a better pharmacy experience than they will get anywhere else. Our staff is committed to going above and beyond to meet our patients' needs. Whether it is working with your provider to get you the best medication at the best price, contacting your provider to get you refills or a prior authorization, or taking the time to review each of your medications with you personally, or perhaps even helping you find an old-time remedy or other hard-to-find items, your Almonds Drug Store staff will work hard to meet your pharmacy needs. At Almonds, we will deliver your prescriptions for free. Both of our stores have drive-through windows, we guarantee short wait times, and our pharmacists will come out to greet you personally and answer any questions you have. If you want to be met with a smiling face, or even want someone to greet you by name when you walk through the doors, we are the pharmacy for you.
Call Almonds Drugs today.
443-3138 or 446-0014.
All right, welcome back. This is Here's to Your Good Health. My name is Linda Prezioso, and I'm here with Elizabeth Burnett, and we are talking about nursing. Elizabeth was from here, Battleboro, moved away, has done a variety of different nursing jobs, and now has come back and has opened the Corner Clinic, which is what is it, family practice and urgent care? Is that
Yes.
what you'd call it?
Yes, I do primary and urgent care.
That's really the thing now. You know, they don't want to do just family practice. There's a lot of, you're the third clinic that has come into town in this area that's urgent care. And, well, there's one that's not quite open yet, but she's going to be open pretty soon.
What I've found that is, even as being a patient my own self, is that the family medicines and primary care physicians, they're inundated with patients, and their schedule is very tight. And so when they have patients who really need to get seen, sometimes it's very difficult. And they're, so I feel like I've opened up a world
Yes,
to the people in this
absolutely.
area.
That's right.
So that when they're sick, they can be seen. Now, I'm not trying to steal anyone's patients.
no,
I
of
just
course
want to
not.
augment the care
There's
that's
plenty,
out there.
there's plenty.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about getting stealing. No, ma'am.
Yeah,
That's
I
not-
just want to augment what's happening out there.
Right. Well, I told Elizabeth, and how I even found out about her is one of my patients went to her clinic and was treated, and she brought me her business card. My patient did, and so I took a picture of it and sent it to Sandra, who owns this TV station, which is 25 years old. They're celebrating their 25th
That's awesome.
anniversary. So they've got, last week I was here, they had balloons all over, and she's bringing back a lot of stuff that they did in the past. You know, that was real big on karaoke at one point, so they're bringing that back a
That's
little
great.
bit. Yeah, so, but anyway, so that's how I even found out about Elizabeth, was through a patient. So,
Word has spread quickly.
I'm sure.
We're very grateful for that.
Yeah. And, word of mouth is your best advertisement.
I think so.
It's your best marketing structure.
We have this, our office is decorated a little bit on the beachy side, and our motto is pretty much, we know you'd rather be almost anywhere else, so we're going to try and make it as pleasant as we can for you.
Right,
Yep.
yeah, that's good, that's good. So tell me about your place. Now, you live in Wilson County now?
I do. I live in Wilson County. Found a place that I could have my horses and my dogs.
So you brought your horses and dogs with you from?
I did.
Wow.
I did. And my horses, because I had to move back and forth a couple of times between North Carolina and Montana when my parents were ill, my horses are well-traveled, and so are my dogs. They've been everywhere with me. And so we've got this nice little place, and and just on the edge of the country, and it's home.
Yeah, that's good. How many horses?
I have 2 horses at this time, and I don't plan on having any more. I have had as many as 7 or 8 at a time when I was living in Montana, but I've decided I'm going to keep it to a low roar now.
And how many dogs?
I have 3,
What
all
kind?
rescues. I have a lab rescue, a red and white English Irish setter, and I have this tiny dog that I found on the reservation on Thanksgiving Day in 2017. I saw something, I thought it was some type of animal, and I couldn't decide what it was, so I stopped, and he ran under my truck. And we think he's half teacup poodle and half maybe Maltese or terrier.
Oh, wow.
To this day, he only weighs about 6 pounds,
Oh.
but he's the boss. He's the boss.
He bosses the other 2 dogs around too,
He
probably.
bosses all of us around. He's
All
got
of
me
you.
very well trained.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
He does.
Yeah, that's really good.
A lot
to
of times he'll come to the office and he stays behind the gate and he acts as our mascot.
know. Oh, that's cute.
And he bosses the girls in the office too.
Oh, my, he's just got that down pat, doesn't he?
He does. He's spoiled.
That's so funny. And you also like to knit, crochet, weave?
I do. I grew up in a sewing, crochet, handy making kind of family, and so I learned that early, sitting on my grandmother's front porch on Paul Street. And over the years, I've done some quilting. And when I was out in Montana, I met a girl who had learned how to knit from someone from Europe. And with all this cold, I learned how to make sweaters. So I just stay busy.
Yeah.
Busy hands.
Yeah. I used to do a lot of knitting and a lot of sewing. I don't do much of that anymore. And I tried my hand at crochet, but I've got 2 left feet that I'm trying to crochet with. It just doesn't work for me.
Well, the way I learned how to knit was like the Europeans do, which is almost like crochet. And having been a crocheter, it made it really easy for me and pretty fast. So I've enjoyed that, and I usually have a pair of socks on the needle somewhere or something going on.
Well, that's nice. And then do you have your own loom?
I have 3 looms.
Oh, my.
While I was also out there in Montana, I met several ladies who were weavers, and they had a big studio and lots of old looms sitting around. So I've renovated a loom that was probably made in the late 1800s.
Oh, wow.
And then I've got a new modern small loom, and then I've got another loom that's out of they don't make anymore. So I've got a loom room at my
A
house.
loom room.
Yep.
Some people have an exercise room. I've got I try to have a craft room, but it ends up being a craft closet because there's always somebody coming in my house and needing to spend the night. So I gave up on the craft room and have it all in a closet and have a bed in my craft room.
Well, if
So-
you're like me, you have a lot of yarn or whatever in your
Yes,
stuff around.
yes.
So I become my mother's store. My mom says, "Have you any of this yarn left?"
Oh,
And so I'll go
yeah,
dig her
yeah,
yarn out
yeah,
and take it to
yeah.
her.
There's a local farmers market here downtown, and they're actually going to be open. I think Saturday they're opening.
Wow.
But they towards the end of the year now it'll be all. Right now it's going to be primarily plants as people are starting to put plants out in their yard
Right.
and the flower pots and all. And then of course in the middle of summer it's all vegetables. But then at the end of the year they do a lot of crafts. People can rent a space and sell their crafts and that kind of thing. And there's a young lady that has a loom, and she'll travel up to Richmond and I think Baltimore to buy yarn. Some of it's alpaca yarn, does a lot with that, and then she'll sit and and show people how to make the yarn with the loom, and so it's pretty cool.
It is
to watch.
It's amazing that knitting and weaving and spinning and these crafts are thousands of years old.
Oh yeah, and they're just as practical today.
Absolutely.
If you want top quality, high quality.
Well, and I think it's good to keep those customs.
I do too. I do too. And especially nowadays, when we don't know exactly what's gonna happen in our crazy world, we better know how to knit a pair of socks, or your feet are gonna get cold, right?
I think so.
Oh, gosh, yeah, and you like to fish and kayak and hunt
Oh,
and
yes.
hike.
Yes, I'm an outdoor person. If the weather's good
I'm
and I've
outside.
got the time, I'm outside, whether it's with the dogs or horses or, I did a lot of kayaking up in Montana. I just love to be outside.
I do too.
But the weather's messy like it's been lately, I can find something to do on the
Yeah,
inside.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I like to be outside. I like to garden. I like to dig in the dirt and,
And
you know, throw pine straw around and that kind of thing, so.
Yes, I love my roses and my azaleas. That's something I missed when I was in Montana, because azaleas in Montana are a potted plant because they won't survive the winter.
Yeah, yeah.
And that always surprised me.
Uh-huh.
And so to come home and have my rose bushes everywhere is really nice.
Yeah, you like that?
I do love my
Yeah,
flowers.
Yeah,
I do.
I do too. I'm not a big rose person, but I do have some roses, but I'm more, well, I love flowers and I love vegetables, so
Yes.
those are the two, those are my gardening focus. And I love, I like wildflowers and, you know, I do a pollinator garden to attract the bees and the butterflies and
Nice.
that
I
kind
love
of thing, yeah.
I love that. And I remember when I was a child, gardening was a chore.
Yeah.
But now I just love to get out there and
I
dig
do
in the
too,
dirt.
but it is a chore. Those daggone weeds, man, I don't like them.
That's
I do a lot with essential oils, and peppermint's really good because it keeps bugs away and it helps keep the weeds down a little bit.
I've even used with the peppermint. You know, living in the country, little mice like to try and come in. As I'll put some peppermint on cotton balls and put them in little corners and places like that. And I
They
think
don't
that
like to
does.
come.
They don't like that
Yeah,
peppermint.
yeah, and it's a great ant deterrent as well.
I better start spraying.
Yeah, so it's just I like to get back to nature and I like to do natural things. I'm not big on plastic and that kind of thing.
Well, I tell all of my patients, you know, I try to get to know my patients well, and I'll say, what do you do for fun? And they'll say, I said, well, do you have a hobby? Because I think that everyone should have something that they like to do for themselves that soothes them.
Yeah.
And I think that
Yeah.
the things that we're talking about are things that are soothing to us.
Yes.
And as we get older, we realize that that's what we're doing. We're really soothing ourselves. So I really encourage my patients to, if they don't have a hobby, to adopt one. Because sooner or later, you're gonna wish you had.
Yeah, yeah. You want to do something.
Do
Whether
something.
I mean, some people love to read. I love to read, but I read so much at work that I used to read as a hobby, but I
Me
don't.
too.
I don't read too much as a hobby.
I
I
was-
have too much I have to read.
Right. I was the same way. I was a voracious reader. Voracious. I used to take the Funkin' Wagnalls out of my mom's room and go read them. But now that I have to do it for so much for a living, I find that I want to work more with my hands.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, we've got a book exchange at work, and sometimes I'll pick up a book that looks pretty interesting, but for the most part, I like to work with my hands. I am addicted to Candy Crush, however. I'm in confession now, I'm admitting.
Well, I'm too cheap to go gambling, and I'm not a gambler, but I sure do like those little slot machines on that machine.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no,
That's-
I'm not gonna gamble, and I'm not gonna
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spend money in a slot
Right,
machine. either,
absolutely not. But I can hit it on the
but
iPad,
that's
and
right,
it goes, that's
right.
fine.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, sometimes at work, you know, you've had a really intense morning, or you've had a couple intense patients, and I might go find a little corner and just sit there for 5 minutes and play a game, just to clear my mind.
Just to clear it, right?
Yeah, because I can look at my computer all day long. There's always something to do. There's a document to review, a lab to review, a phone call to answer.
That's why I keep my socks that I'm knitting in my bag.
There you
So if
go.
I need 10 minutes, there,
That's what you do.
make
Yeah.
socks. Right.
Yeah, you just need to have a little break from it all.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so what made you decide that you wanted to open your own place versus go work at the hospital?
Well, that's a very big question, and it took me years to get there because, you know, I am a hospital person. But over my lifetime, I've seen the face of medicine change greatly.
Yes.
I mean, anybody growing up in Rocky Mount knew old Dr. Wall and Dr. Jones, and you know the ones in, yeah, there were Dr. Marriott from Brattleboro. I mean, there was just so many, and Dr. Liverman in Nashville. I mean, these people really impressed upon me how they knew their patients,
And they did, boy.
and they did. And then as a nurse at Nash General, I met Dr. Camilla Proctor.
I used to work for her.
And she knew her patients.
Yes, she
It
did.
might take you a while to get in, but she knew her patients, and they knew her. And over the years, I've watched medicine become more corporate oriented, and I wanted to get back to being a nurse because of the original reason for being a nurse, and that was to help people.
That's right.
And I find out as much as I help people, they touch my life just as
That's
greatly.
right. They help you in a different way.
And I was losing that by seeing 50 patients a day.
Oh my God, that's like a puppy mill.
And so I was losing that feeling. And so I wanted to be more in control of my schedule, my patient schedule, and I wanted to be more flexible. And that's why I have a walk-in clinic. And so I'm just kind of emulating some of my heroes from the past.
That's awesome. Yeah, I knew Dr. Wall. I knew Dr. Jones.
Yep.
I didn't know him as a practitioner. I knew him when he was a crotchety old man in the hospital as a patient. But you know, and I'll be the same way. When you have been so in command and done so much for others, and then you're kind of reduced to, and you know, a lot of people didn't know him. You know, like me, I'm a transplant here, so you know, I had to hear stories about him from peers that were from here, but you know, I didn't know him in that respect. So,
Right.
but
Working on the Crow Indian Reservation, you know, a lot of those doctors had been there for years and years and years. They had gone there originally to get their loans paid off.
and they stayed.
And they stayed. And I met some really great people who also influenced me to not treat patients as a number, but to be able
Right.
to know
Right.
them.
Yeah.
And at this point in my life, that's where I want to be.
Yeah, that's one reason why I love Family Medical, because I've been there 11 years, and so you know, I know them, I know their mama. I treat mamas and daughters and granddaughters and sisters, and I like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate that some of the people that I went to grade school, I mean, I have a lady now that we went to school together when we were in the first grade.
Oh wow.
And she has come to see me as a patient, and I've seen a lot of my family's friends, and it's amazing. I didn't think I could love Montana more than what I did, or love anything more, but I have found that I really love home now.
Oh, I know your mama's glad.
I think
I
so.
know that. All right, it's time for our next break, and then when we come back, I'd love to take some calls. I'm sure Elizabeth would love to talk to you and tell you where she is and how you can get up with her and what kind of things she treats over her clinic. So give us a call, 407-1111. But right now we're going to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll talk more with Elizabeth, so don't go away.
When faced with special care needs for elderly or disabled loved ones, families want compassionate, comforting care. That's Tender Touch Home Care Services' goal, providing the level of care we would expect for our own. With over 10 years of home care excellence, Tender Touch provides an array of services that keeps your loved one at home. From personal care, light housekeeping, errands, and meal preparation, to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
pharmacist and owner of Almonds Drug Store here in Rocky Mount. Here today with my wife and 2 daughters. For over 75 years, Almonds Drug Store has been the pharmacy of choice for residents of Edgecombe and Nash County. Our family is proud to call Rocky Mount home, and we are excited about the new services and products we are adding daily at both of our Almonds Drug Store's locations and also at our medical supply store.
Come in and see us at Almonds Medical Supply. We're an extension of Almonds Drug Stores, your local hometown pharmacy. We're here to service all your needs, from wheelchairs to walkers to orthopedic supports to compression hose to hard-to-find wound care supplies. And you'll always get that hometown customer service.
We want our patients to pay the best prices, get the best service available, and have a better pharmacy experience than they will get anywhere else. Our staff is committed to going above and beyond to meet our patients' needs. Whether it is working with your provider to get you the best medication at the best price, contacting your provider to get you refills or a prior authorization, or taking the time to review each of your medications with you personally, or perhaps even helping you find an old-time remedy or other hard-to-find items, your Almonds Drug Store staff will work hard to meet your pharmacy needs. At Almonds, we will deliver your prescriptions for free. Both of our stores have drive-through windows, we guarantee short wait times, and our pharmacists will come out to greet you personally and answer any questions you have. If you want to be met with a smiling face, or even want someone to greet you by name when you walk through the doors, we are the pharmacy for you.
Call Almonds Drugs today.
443-3138 or 446-0014.
All right, we're laughing at Lee. He was a little gruff with his eyes. Are you ready? I don't think he meant to be, but we were in the middle of a sentence and we both went, oh, yeah, we're ready, we're ready. So hello, welcome back. I've been talking with Elizabeth during the break and just talking nursing stuff. And now we're going to talk some more about her clinic. And so I want you to tell us where it is, how do we get a hold of you, what are your hours?
Well, our clinic is called the Clinic on the Corner because it is on the corner of, it's 3918 Bishop Road, which is really Highway 301. We are directly across from Sheets. We're in the Food Line Complex. On the corner, we have a big sign that says Clinic on the Corner. We are there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Our telephone number is 252-299-0057. You can come by appointment or you can walk in. We are seeing a lot of the college students because we're right beside Wesleyan College, and that's been a blessing for us. And we're right down the road from Pfizer, you know, and a lot of the industry here on 301. So people kind of drive by and catch a look at us and say, hey, I'll stop there.
Yeah. I've got the sniffles. I've been feeling kind of under the weather. I'm going to stop there.
Yeah. There used to be a pharmacy in that complex.
Yes, I know
And
that.
I have part of the office of where the
part of
pharmacy
her.
was. Yes.
Yeah, she was a great pharmacist. She was like us as far as she really took her patients. I mean, she called me multiple times for different patients. Linda, you know, she's on this drug, but, you know, this is what's going on, and I think she might benefit if we'd switch her to something else.
Yes, she's a
You know,
great
and I
person.
appreciate that because pharmacists are the one that knows the drugs.
They do.
You know, that's their job. And so I hated when she left, but it's pretty hard to be a small independent
is.
pharmacy.
It's small to be an independent anybody,
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah, it
and,
is.
And it's a challenge, and reimbursement from the insurance companies is a challenge.
Well, and some insurances reimburse us as nurse practitioners less than they do medical doctors, but we do the same thing.
We do.
We diagnose and we treat, we write prescriptions.
They automatically take 15% off what the bill is or what they would pay a physician. They automatically take 15% off, and then they want to discount you to 0.5%. There are times, I'm honest with you, there are times that your hairdresser makes more for dyeing your hair or cutting your hair than I do for seeing a patient who's got diabetes.
I believe that.
It's true.
Yeah. We were insurance bashing, I can tell you that. That'll be the one thing I told my medical director today, because insurance is, it's overwhelming what they expect from you. And then the reimbursement is small, and, you know, I work for a company, and so they want money, of course, to pay me, which I want. And, you know, so it's the same, only the buck stops with you. The buck doesn't stop with me. The buck goes upstairs to the office manager, so I'm out of that loop. But I told the medical director today, I said, if and when I leave here, it will not be because of the way the office is run. It will not be because of my patients. It will not be because of my peers where I work. It will be because of insurance. And I hate to tell you all that, because I know you all need your insurance. We get that.
We all do.
We understand that. But I'm just telling you, I don't treat you. Blue Cross and Blue Shield treats you. They tell me, I write a prescription, nope, can't have that, you gotta have this one.
Yeah, I think that's one of the saddest things about being in the medical business, and even working in the hospitals, how it was designated you could see this patient or you could keep this patient so many days, and after that day you're not going to get paid, and so a large percentage of the bills that really do get billed out and paid, you're paying for somebody else's medical care because they have to charge more to make up for what they don't get reimbursed back.
Yeah, it's just, is that your phone?
I turned it down.
I'm hearing this music, I'm like, is that your phone?
I told that phone to be silent, but it didn't take my advice, evidently.
It's like a kid.
Yeah.
When I was in Italy, we were at a olive farm, and the owner of the farm was talking to us, and, you know, he had a lovely place and telling us how the olives grew and how you process them, you know, all that kind of stuff. And he had about an 8-year-old son, and the little boy came up, Papa, Papa, and he goes, Silencio, Silencio. Be quiet, silence.
I think our cell phones have minds of their own.
Yes.
They do the weirdest things. They ring when they're not supposed to, and they don't ring when they should, and this a whole...
You know, it kind of makes you scared. I was talking to 2 providers yesterday about a certain kind of shoe called Rothy. And so we were just chatting about it, and they're expensive, and why I started buying them, because I had plantar fasciitis and all that kind of stuff. Today, that was yesterday, today, one of those providers that I was talking to got an advertisement from Rothy on her phone.
Absolutely.
Your phones, they listen. This thing is listening to me. So I hope there's not a Blue Cross Blue Shield representative out there. I'm going to be in big trouble.
Well, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, just all insurance companies have their wonderful ways that they support us.
Oh, yeah.
But reimbursement toward the providers is very difficult.
Yeah.
And we have so many wonderful new medications for diabetes these days, but if you can't afford them, they do you no good.
That's right. And you can't afford them.
And you can't afford them.
You've got to have the insurance.
And so if the insurance won't pay for it, we really have to jump through a lot of loops and write papers, and we spend a lot of time trying to make sure our patients get the medicines they need.
That's right. When we could be taking care of patients.
We could be taking care of other patients. And we don't get reimbursed for trying to get our patients the correct medicines.
So in Montana, I think you had autonomy to practice on your own.
We did. In the state of Montana, you do not have to have a physician supervisor. I mean, all of us nurse practitioners have collaborative physicians, but we did not have to pay someone to be our supervisor. And if you're going to be an independent provider here in the state of North Carolina, you have to network and find someone, physician, to supervise you. And
that's not cheap.
No. And they don't have to be on the premises. You just have to be able to be in contact with them.
And they don't do anything, really.
Not,
But they get $500 to $1,000 a month.
there are some that get more than $1,700 a month that I know of. And then you also, on top of that, we have to pay their insurance, their medical liability coverage, because they're supervising us. So there again, that's that's a challenge that kept me out of starting my own business for over 5 years.
Yeah. Well, there's the SAVE Act here in town, in North Carolina. I'm sure you're familiar with
am.
it. And I was really hoping it would pass when they passed that Medicaid expansion, because at one point, the SAVE Act was written in with
It
that.
was, and then they separated it. And
And it's the medical board that is fighting it tooth and nail, because they don't want to give up that easy money.
no, and you know, I am not, I'm not against having some type of supervision,
No,
but now it's become a business.
Yeah.
It's become a lucrative business for the physicians, and God bless them for trying to help us. It's become a very lucrative business for them to be our supervisor. And so again, the nurse carries the burden.
But we could go on and on
Right.
about all the woes of nursing. But let me tell you, being a nurse is the best thing I
Best
ever
thing.
did. And I think that Elizabeth will say the same thing, that I have been a nurse for over 30 years. I have not regretted a day. Sometimes in the middle of a shift, I might have regretted it some.
Yeah.
Or if I had to work Christmas or Thanksgiving, I might have regretted it some. But really, no.
No.
I'm blessed to be a nurse. I'm blessed to have that gift. I'm blessed to be able to learn. You know, we, as nurse practitioners, we're required to do 50 hours of continuing ed a year. And so I like that because I like to learn.
I do like to learn.
So I don't mind that at all.
Keeps us sharp.
Yeah, that's
It
right.
does keep us sharp.
Keeps us reading.
And not mysteries.
That's right. That's
Our
right.
mysteries are
That's-
diagnosing our patients.
That's right. That's right. But I do like a mystery, and so I think maybe that's one of the reasons why I like nursing too, because it is a mystery. You got to take all, and I like puzzles, and you've got to take all the pieces and then put them together to figure out what we're doing, how
Right.
to do it.
I
So,
tell my patient, we're playing detective right now. Let's
that's right.
let's
Yeah.
narrow it down
Right.
to something.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yep.
So what are your expectations for the future? You think I know you want to try add one more nurse
Yes.
practitioner.
Well, as we grow, and I can add another nurse practitioner, what I'd like to do is, of course, give some care on the weekend, because to find someone on the weekend is often difficult. So I'd like to start to be open on Saturdays and maybe a half a day on Sunday for people who are ill. But that's to be seen. I would like to have longer hours, or hours of which people could come after work or before work. So if at one time maybe we can extend the hours, work less days, and have maybe 2 or 3 nurse practitioners, that would be great. But I want it to always be a family medicine group.
I know. That's the thing. You're small now and you're intimate, and you want to keep that.
I do.
And I think the more people you add,
the harder it is.
the harder it is to keep that
I think so.
intimacy.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
But at this point in my life, I'm very happy taking care of the people who I've known for forever, and then the new ones that come in. It's just been a great challenge, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Well, you like a challenge, don't you?
I do.
I do too.
I like wild horses.
I'm not sure I like wild horses. I've never really been around horses, so I've not had that. I did not. My first word was probably feed me food instead of pony.
When I was a
I
kid,
like food.
When I was a kid, I couldn't run and track because I ran like a horse. I galloped like a horse instead of a human.
But I've got a nurse friend. She's a nurse anesthetist, and she's a big horse person. Yeah. And then I've got a cousin that's a big horse person. So, they're always posting about the horses and the new ones that were born and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Bob. One of my horses is a Morgan, and they usually live to be quite old. So I tell everybody he's my last horse. So we'll see.
Yeah. How long have you had these horses?
I've had the Morgan horse for 16 years. I bought him as a baby.
And what's his name?
His name is Chief, because he looks like a chief. I'm not very inventive with the names. And I have, in the last year, I purchased half Gypsy Vanner. And they've got really long manes and pretty dramatic. And her name was something else, but I call her Gypsy. So, yeah, she knows her name.
She knows her name. Yeah. Well, I've got goats, and then I've got Great Pyrenees. So
I love them.
they are great dogs. They're nothing but big teddy bears.
They're very
But they're
sweet.
big dogs. All right, it's time to say goodnight. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that the sound got better and everybody could hear. Thank you so much, Elizabeth,
Thank
for
you for
being
inviting me.
with me tonight. So give everybody one more time what the name of your business is, where it is, how they can find you.
Okay, it's Clinic on the Corner. We're beside the Food Lion on 301 near Brattleboro. It's 3918 Bishop Road. Our telephone number is 252-299-0057. We're open currently Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
8 to 5.
And take walk-ins.
That's what's awesome, is taking in the walk-ins. So I get sometimes they'll
Yeah.
walk into the office and somebody will have an opening. but
Right.
Not all the time.
So, and we're accepting some primary care patients. And
You accept
and-
all insurances?
yes, our office manager's done a very good job getting us certified to see all.
That's
all
quite a,
insurances.
that's a
a
chore.
job.
Yeah, I don't want to have to do that either. I just want to take care of patients. I don't want any of that other ancillary stuff. I don't think I'm lazy. I like what I like.
Focused.
Focus, that's it. I'm
Focused. We're
focused. I'm
focused.
focused. All right, good night, you all. We'll see you next week with more of Here's to Your Good Health. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much. Great.